Hello, my name is Lena and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be turning this curtain that I got from Goodwill into a beautiful holiday dress. I'm going to be using my typical bodice pattern that I use for most of my dresses and trying out a new type of skirt today. I'm not sure of the type of sleeves that I will be doing, but I'm going to get started on everything else and see what I come up with. Thank you so much for watching. I've only been sewing clothes for about a year and I wanted to share a little bit of my process of how I got this pattern. I first started by tracing the lines of this top here, and I, over the past year, have made quite a few dresses with this and slowly turned it into kind of its own thing. I usually cut this on the fold. If there are sleeves, I keep this the same. If there aren't sleeves, I make this a little deeper. And I am definitely still learning. I'm pretty darn new to this and it's always a bit of a work in progress. So this is what I will be using today, and you may see I'll make a few changes, cut some pieces down. I'm still working on getting like a nice back, all of that. So yeah, let's get cutting our beautiful gold curtain. Here is our gorgeous golden curtain fabric. It's 2 layers, so I have tons and tons of yardage here. I really want to go big on the skirt and possibly the sleeves as well.
I started by cutting out my bodice pieces as well as identical lining pieces. I then pressed all of the pieces and ironed interfacing onto the shell layer. Here are the measurements. Now I am sewing all of the pieces together. Next, I ironed the seams down flat and cut along the seam allowance of the curvy parts of the bodice. Now we're sewing the shoulder seams together for both the lining and the shell.
I've got the shell and the lining right sides together, and now I'm going to sew all the way along here. And one note, I like to start from the center and go out that way, and then to go back to the center and go out the other way. That way it helps it not shift around too much.
Now we are going to bring the seam allowance to the lining side and top stitch all along the top of the piece.
The bodice is coming along very nicely. There are a few mistakes I made and some adjustments I want to make to my pattern for the future. For example, these seams don't quite match up, so I just need to take away a little bit of fabric there, and also just kind of along this whole edge right here. And also, I didn't cut this perfectly straight. As you can see, there's kind of an angle going on here. Not ideal, but I'm not going to go back and fix that. The skirt is probably going to be very big and it will take away from any little inconsistencies here on the top.
Here are the measurements. I'm sewing all 3 pieces together into one large rectangle with the big piece in the center.
So here is the skirt piece. I sewed all 3 pieces that I showed together. I kept the original hem of the curtain, so they're a little uneven right here, but everywhere else it looks really good. And I think this will be a midi length. To gather it and make it fit around my waist, I'm thinking about doing some pleats. So I'm going to mess around with that and show you what I come up with. I had to take a few breaks, but now we are back with our skirt. I went ahead and serged the seams where I sewed all 3 skirt pieces together. And now I'm working on shaping the waistline, and I want to do that with pleats. I went ahead and found the center point of the entire skirt piece, and I placed pins along every 3 inches, and I'm going to show you how I create the pleats from here.
Find your center pin and bring the 2 nearest pins to it, folding over your fabric like so. Then you skip the next pin, making that your new center pin, and just keep repeating that process. That was probably not the best explanation on creating pleats, so I definitely recommend checking out a YouTube video.
So I put the pleats in to a point that I like, and I'm having them stop just about here. And I think that this looks really good. Now I just have this extra fabric to deal with. I'm going to add 2 darts into the back, and then I'll probably just end up cutting away some of this excess fabric when I sew in the zipper and close up the back of the skirt. After that, we just need to add on the sleeves. The skirt is already hemmed even, so making really good progress here. On each side, I want to add in a dart. I am going to do it 5 inches from the last pleat, and I'm going to have it go down 6 inches. Now it's time to put the skirt onto the bodice. It is getting pretty dark, so I'm probably going to put a hold on this project until tomorrow, but first I do want to sew these together. I'm leaving the lining out of it, and we're just sewing the skirt to the shell. It's day 2, and here is what we've got so far. All I need to do is put the zipper into the back of the dress and put the sleeves on. I'm going to do the sleeves right now because they just sound more fun. So here's the pattern piece that I'll be using. I want to do a poofy sleeve as I usually do, so I'll actually be extending this by a good few inches, and I'll cut out that general shape.
I end up making these a bit too big, and I talk about those adjustments later on in the video. I also shorten them by about 3 or 4 inches.
Glimmering silver white, and stillness fills the night.
Here we have our pieces. I went ahead and made them pretty large, but I could always make them a little smaller if I don't like how it looks. What we're going to do is sew down this line to close them up on each side, and then we're going to sew 2 gathering stitches along the opening of the sleeve, gather it to the size of the armhole, and then sew it in.
We give thanks for this past year.
Now I'm adding in those gathering stitches.
To the love that we share.
I made sure to match up the seams here and added the arm to the armhole.
A green red delight with glimmering.
This is the length that I cut off the arms.
You dazzle us all from big to small. Warm laughter.
Now I am just doing a double rolled hem.
Take me away, Christmas Day.
And I'm adding elastic to gather it up. It's zipper time. I end up redoing this quite a few times. It just was not working for me. I left the lining unsewed so that I could flip it over and make a clean edge for the invisible zipper. This was also redone several times.
Here we are for day 3 of sewing this dress. I just have one finishing touch to do. I ended up having quite the time with this dress yesterday after I turned the camera off. Everything started going wrong. The zipper was just not working. There was a weird fold at the top of the back where the zipper ends. I had to move the darts. So many things. So I spent about 4 hours trying to fix that, and I was so frustrated. And I still didn't fix the main issue, but I have a solution for that. We are going to add a little detail that will cover up the ugliness and finish off this dress really nicely. I'm going to show you what I'm going to be covering up, and that is this area right here on the dress. As you can see, it's pretty uneven. There's this weird fold. I think it's the way I cut the pieces, like I said. I think maybe the lining has something to do with it. I don't know, but we are going to fix that right now. Here is the plan. We are going to sew this bow onto one side. So I'll start sewing
on this edge to here. And then I'm going to add on a little hook and eye to this side. So once I zip it up, I can just kind of hook that over and hopefully it will stay nice and straight here. Here's how it turned out. So I just put a little hook like that. I have to cut away some of these strings that are kind of poking out. So it's sewed on one side. I can unzip it and re-zip it. And then once it's on, I just hook it in place and it covers up all of the ugliness. I'm now sewing up the back of the skirt.
I went ahead and finished up the skirt. I ironed it, and I also forgot to mention before that I ended up taking in the sleeves a little bit. I just sewed from that inner seam to about 3 inches into each side. They were just a bit too big.
I can't believe this was a curtain from the thrift store. I think it looks like a beautiful princess dress or like, I don't know, a piano recital dress. I have no clue where I will ever wear this, but I love it. $16 well spent. Thank you so much for watching.